I don't know if my funniest thing is appropriate to say. I'll say that the most fun professor I had was Dr. Halpern. Although that may not seem very likely, I'm probably a more serious person and so is he, but just the way that he taught the class and the passion for human rights in general, he truly gets it. And that's probably that's what made me love him the most.
We constantly make fun of Bradford's accent. And just the words, he doesn't even have that strong of an accent. It's just individual words that he says that we don't say the same way, and we just constantly make fun of him for it. It makes me laugh every time. Sorry, Brad.
Give me a word.
Sorry.
I think the funniest experience that I've had in the Human Rights program was when I was studying abroad in South Africa. The South African students would teach me a lot of curse words like and
I think the most memorable experience that I had was actually the Human Rights Youth Summit last summer, because just seeing so many high school students, people generally think that high school students don't know a lot about anything. They think they're inexperienced, don't care about anybody but themselves, and that just couldn't be farther from the truth. I think it was very rejuvenating to see how aware the students were of the issues affecting their communities, and it was amazing to see how intelligent and creative they got in coming up with solutions to those issues once they were given the proper support.
Easily the most memorable experience was the Civil Rights pilgrimage I went on for spring break. I got close to a lot of people that I would not have probably talking to in class if it wasn't for this outside experience of traveling to the South.
I would say the most memorable experience I've had in the program would be the Civil Rights pilgrimage trip that I took this past spring break with a lot of my fellow human rights friends.
I think it would be going to the lynching memorial in Montgomery, Alabama, with our great debates of the civil rights class.
The most memorable experience for me was to visit the National Memorial for Peace and Justice during the Civil Rights pilgrimage.
For me, for that whole question, which was most impactful, hardest, and funniest, was all kind of combined in one. For me, that was the Civil Rights pilgrimage, because it was this big trip of deep, intense emotions, kind of historical recognitions, things like that, meeting people that experienced huge trauma, and just kind of watching them still processing that decades later. It was really intense and difficult, but also being crammed onto a bus for 9 days with a bunch of people results in just some really fun interactions.
The most memorable experience I've had is the SMU Civil Rights Program. I went as a participant my sophomore year, and then just recently this past spring break I was the student leader on the trip, and I went again because it was so memorable my sophomore year. That trip completely changed my outlook on life. It completely changed the career trajectory of my life. I went into it thinking I was going to be a doctor, came out of it realizing I wanted to be a pastor. So that completely changed my life. I am so thankful for it, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the Human Rights program.
So it's honestly kind of scary to think about what my SMU experience would have been without the Human Rights program. I just had such a great experience and such a positive experience, even though college was overwhelmingly a really negative time for me. I was dealing with a lot of mental health issues the past couple years, but just the outpouring of generosity and respect and empathy that I received from Human Rights made all the difference in the world these past few years. And I don't know if I would be here without the Human Rights program.
Being totally honest and transparent, I would not be graduating from SMU if the Human Rights program wasn't here. I ran into some really difficult times my freshman year, and I thought about transferring a couple of times. Actually, I thought about transferring every year except for this year, and the Human Rights program is what kept me at SMU.
I probably would have transferred. Honestly, I was about to transfer my freshman year because I didn't really have much of a passion for anything that I was studying here at SMU. And I think I was just kind of in a place where I didn't know where my life was going. And so just kind of on a fluke, I took Dr. Halpern's class. And it ended up being the best class that I had ever taken. And you know, it really made me aware of problems going on in the world. And, you know, that we who have had this great opportunity to get an education and to learn about these things have an obligation to step up and do things about it.
It's like this, it's the support, right? It's not just using the term family is about the support and about the just like being there, like being not just like a friend to have fun times with and to hang out with when like things are really good, but when I'm really sad, I go to the Human Rights office. When I like had a bad day, like I figure out when I'm gonna go to the Human Rights office. And yeah, it's also stronger than 4 years. It's not for 4 years, it's for life.
So for me, when I think of my human rights family, I just think of a community of like some of the brightest people I've ever met, but at the same time, like the coolest, most down to earth, interesting people. I feel like it's the diversity I never had growing up of like opinions and backgrounds and thought, and just people that every time I'm around them, I just feel it just feels like home to me. I don't know.
When I think of the human rights family, I think of a community that's inclusive and supportive and is there for everyone no matter what's going on.
Post-grad, I'll probably miss, the things I'll miss about the Human Rights program will probably be the challenge of perspectives that I get from my fellow classmates and the reading that we have, that it's so thought-provoking and really challenges the way I'm thinking all the time and just growing as a person and an individual. So yeah, I think I'm gonna miss, you know, just conversations about like life and big things that, you know, really mean a lot in this world.
I'm really gonna miss the office. I'm really gonna miss getting to go in and, you know, just seeing that there's always a different group of people in there, but they always want to know how you're doing. They always want to know how your day's been, if you're doing okay, if you're hanging in there. And if not, then they'll offer support and encouragement, and if are, then they'll push you to keep going forward and keep moving even harder.
Even though I wouldn't say I'm like had a ton of leadership experience or like was super close to a lot of people in the human rights family, everyone has just been so supportive and like empathetic and understanding like every step of the way. Everyone has just been so generous with their time and energy, and I just hope to find like an environment as inclusive and like inspiring as that whenever I do leave the program.
I think that the easiest way to convince someone to support a human rights program is to introduce them to students and see the tangible change that they're affecting on their respective communities.
Probably the biggest thing I would say to them is to look at like what the human rights program has produced thus far, because we've done amazing community service projects, like initiatives for Dallas and the campus as a whole. So to see people actually doing that work that we teach here is probably the best thing that people could gain from ever looking at the human rights program.
First, you got to drop the facts. You got to let them know that it's one of 7 undergraduate programs that exist that have a degree in human rights. It's only one in the South. But then you got to hit them with the real stuff. The students of the human rights program are truly the ones that are going to make a difference in the world. And if we don't support them, then we're missing out on engaging with students with the most potential that we can offer. And honestly, like, we're pretty great.